Wants to get married, he's only getting married truly for one reason. Because let me be honest with you women, the men can work and provide for themselves. He does not necessarily need you to cook, clean, and have sex because he can get sex from multiple women. They're giving it out. A lot of them can cook and clean. Their mother taught them, or they can pay someone to get it. The culture is telling them, do not get married. So why would a man go past what the culture is telling him and choose to have a wife? Because with a wife, you can now have love, you can now have nurturing, you can have support, you can have affection. This is what he can't get from a roommate. So if that is not what you're leading with in your relationships with men, is love, support, nurturing, and respect. This is why your husband is now pulling away, because in the beginning you gave him those things. But as you got into the relationship, you got bitter, you got resentful, you start seeing his flaws, start counting that against him, you start measuring him against other men, and now you're pulling back on the love, the affection, and the nurture. A man wants to get married.
So she was speaking straight facts. This is why men continue to get married. See, basically, women, ladies, like if a guy proposes to you, that man loves you. You know what I mean? Like you did something inside of him that makes him feel like that he loves you. You know what I mean? But I don't know, man. Today's society, pop culture, just the way the norm is now with dating. Relationships and things like that is going down. It's dire. Like this is dire. This is like critical mass at this point. There's no more love. There's no more nurturing. There's no more respect. There's no more support. There's no more affection. As you know, man, I talk a lot about respect. I talk a lot about transactional relationships. I talk a lot about simps, tricks, lames and suckers and lollipops and all that, right? The reason behind all of that, this pervasive attitude that we have with a lot of women, not all women, but many women, the majority of women that have this attitude, is there's a lot of factors going on. You got the economy. The economy's messed up, inflation, and it's hard to survive on your own. The average woman makes about $40,000 or less, and black women, they're at the bottom in terms of income, household singular income at $36,000 or less. So, case in point, man, a lot of black women are just broke. A lot of these women are not making any money. Although they got more education and they have access to, government assistance and child support and WIC and Section 8 and this and that. Like we all know these things, right? So they have supplemental income on top of the income they may receive from their jobs, but a lot of them are in debt from, degrees in college and things like that. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, you do have a small modicum of women that do well, that make a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? 6 figures or more, their own property and things like that, which is cool. Nothing wrong with that. But, when they have that type of success, usually they have to invest themselves in being a career woman, a boss type chick or what have you, right? And so now that puts them in their masculine and they're not really in their feminine. And then they start to compete with a dude and this and that and the other. And so it causes this dynamic of competition between the man and the woman. The man doesn't want to be with another man. He wants to be with a woman. He wants that nurturing, affection, love, support, respect type things. Everything that this woman here iterated. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like if a woman is super successful, she's going to be lacking that because she's in her masculine, right? But then again, if a woman isn't, focused on that, then there's other dynamics like inflation. And so inflation puts these women in panic mode. Inflation puts these women in survival mode. So what happens when you're out here trying to survive? You're going to do some dire stuff. This is why a lot of these women are promiscuous. This is why a lot of these women are 304s and, prostitute themselves out. You know what I mean? I don't mean like, walking the streets, but, if they don't want to work, they don't want to go into the workforce. They you know what I mean? Because they're not designed to do it. So they market themselves. They market their body as a means of income, right? And primarily, if they look good, or even if they don't look good, they will go to work just to invest in a BBL, just to invest in some type of a breast augmentation, just to invest in some type of body augmentation so that they can go on their OnlyFans and things like that. So the economy is part of it. Inflation is a part of it. But another big part of it, another big part of the aspect of the reason why women today, a large majority of women today are not loving, affectionate, nurturing, respectful, submissive, and all this kind of stuff, all these intangibles that men fall in love with, and the reason why they're not wife material is because of the simps, the tricks and the lames. Like, too many dudes are tricking off. Like, the game is fucked up. They're not fucking up the game. The game is fucked up. Okay? That's the only way I can just iterate it. Like, it's all screwed up. The polarity has shifted. Like, it's too many dudes right now that have transactional relationships. Like, this is the norm right now. So a lot of these guys that you see in relationships, whether it be, they could be even married. A lot of these guys are just subsidizing these women's lifestyles because the women don't want to work. I mean, which is cool, but it's transactional, meaning they're not getting love, affection, and nurturing, respect. You see what I'm saying? Submissive and nurturing and all of that. They're not being esteemed by their wives. They're not being esteemed by their girlfriends because the women just don't respect them because they're leading with their pockets. They're not leading with charisma. They're not leading with intellect. They're not leading with their personality. They're not leading with their morals, the men, right? They're not leading with their mouthpiece. They're not leading with game. They're not leading with their values. Why? Because they have no value. So they overcompensate with their wallet, with their money. These females only see these dudes as an ATM, man. I mean, I've given you plenty of content from Kendra G. And you see that most of the women on her show, they're just looking for a sucker. They're looking for a sponsor. They're looking for a sycophant. They're looking for a slave. They're looking for an economic slave. That's all these women want out here. You know what I'm saying? And guys are doing it. Why? Because they're so hard up for sex, right? They'll do anything for it and they'll pay for it. So that's that dynamic of the game that's all screwed the hell up because dudes are out here tricking. Dudes are out here simping on a large scale. And so now women just expect it from every dude. Then you got the aspect of, okay, let's say if you guys do follow, the principles and stuff that, that I parrot, the principles and stuff that I teach as being a high value man, working on yourself, faith, fitness, finance, fashion, you know what I'm saying? And then females last, working on yourself, mind, body, and soul, becoming a better man, a better person, self-aggrandizing. So when you do that, you're going to feel good about yourself. You're going to look better, feel better, dress better, all this kind of stuff, right? And so women can see that. They're going to see this self-esteem. They're going to see this aura. They're going to see this power. They're going to see this value. And so a lot of these women, they just don't want to deal with it. Why? Because they know a lot of other women are going to be, checking for you. Because women are attracted to attractive men. But you got a dynamic of women. You have a profile of women within that spectrum that I'm talking about, right? They might be attracted to a high value guy, but they don't want to put in the work for a high value guy. Because a guy like myself, a guy like you that follows, the principles that I be teaching, you're gonna hold a woman accountable. So you're going to want her to personally develop. And you're going to want her to be feminine and nurturing and have affection and love and support and all these other kind of things. And women just don't want to do that because they're solipsistic. It's all about them. It's about me, and what you can do for me. It's unilateral. They want it one-sided. They don't want to reciprocate. They don't want to meet you, that I talk about all the time. With their money, energy, emotions, and time. They just don't want to do it. So when they see you to have your shit together and your body together, and See, when your body's together, when you're fit, when you're strong, you look athletic, and you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? You look good. Like I look good, right? I've always looked good at any age. But what I'm saying is, when you put in the work, a lot of women just can't deal with that because they know it's going to require a lot of work with you, man. They're going to have to work to keep you. So they'll default to a bad body dude. They'll default to a guy who doesn't work out, a guy who doesn't go to the gym, a guy who's overweight. You know what I'm saying? A guy with low self-esteem. They'll go for these simps, lames, and suckers, and these sponsors, and these sycophants, and these slaves, and these cucks. They'll go to those type of dudes. They'll even marry these dudes. You know what I mean? Only for the sake of survival, economic survival. Because they want to live free. They want to have a soft life. I get it, right? But what these dudes don't understand is that they're being used. A lot of these guys are in sexless relationships. A lot of these guys are in loveless relationships. A lot of these guys are just paying for her presence, yo. And it's wild to me. A lot of these guys don't have respect from their women. A lot of these guys are miserable. If they lose their job, if they lose their hustle, or whatever it is they got going on, she out of there. Well, women gonna do that regardless, unless she's totally invested into you. You know what I mean? She might stick around for a while, maybe about a month or two, but you can't just, you know what I mean? If you get knocked down, you got to get back up. You got to be resilient. And you really can't blame them for that. But what I'm saying is, for the most part, when the money dry up with those type of women, they going, especially the broke ones. So the whole case in point, man, is dating, relationships is today is in the toilet, man. Birth rate is low. Marriage is low, but divorce is high. Promiscuity is high. Right? STDs is high. Everybody out here fucking. They doing what they doing. But a lot of it's transactional. You know, another factor of all this foolishness, man, with the women is social media. Social media has fucked the game up too. Social media. Women have too much attention, non-sexual attention from all these guys, right? You know what I mean? What do I mean by non-sexual attention? They don't have to have sex with these dudes, but they can get the guy's attention with a like, a comment, a DM. So this gives women an ego boost. They think that all these guys want to marry them and want to be with them. They want to be with you, ladies. Like the dudes want to be with you, but they don't want to be with you. They want to play, but they don't want to stick around for a long time. You know what I'm saying? They're here for a good time, but not a long time. Basically, what I'm saying. Like these dudes just want to have sex with you because you objectify yourself. They just want to hit it and quit it. You see what I'm saying? They don't want to marry you. They're not taking you seriously. They don't want you long term. You know, so women are, you know, they have this attention misconstrued with love and desire, and it's not true. It's just lust. These dudes lust you, ladies, but they don't love you. They're not in love with you. They don't want to marry you. They don't want to wife you. They don't want to save you. None of that. You know what I mean? So you may think you have options, but you don't. So a lot of these women be like, oh, I'm single by choice. No, you're not single by choice. You're single because you know that you realize that you don't have good options. You got a lot of dudes who lust you, but they're not good options. Because if you did, you'd be married by now. It's not a lot of good options out there for me right now. It's not. The women today are not wife material. They're just not. Most women today are promiscuous. Most women today are very, very materialistic and solipsistic. They don't have feminine qualities that men look for. Like she said in this video, a lot of these women just are not marriage material. They're not wife material. So why would I want to deal with them? I don't have any options because the options out here is trash. Not a lot of options. I mean, it's literally to the point where you gotta get on a plane and go to another country that's not influenced by the United States and try to marry a virgin somewhere, which is highly unlikely. So I don't know. The future looks bleak. It looks very, very bleak. You know, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, man, but I'm just doing a reality check. I'm looking around. You know what I'm saying? It's like, before social media, man, before 2009. Yeah, before 2009, Facebook and all that, like you could just meet you a girl, take her seriously, and you would have a long-term relationship, have some love and affection in your life. You know what I mean? But now it's wild, bro. It is wild. Like, social media has really fucked up a lot of things. The internet has messed up a lot of things. The powers that be, the powers that shouldn't be, have influenced a lot of things with this music and these plants like Sexy Red and Suki with the music, man, and turn all these women into whores and turning men against women and women against men, F my baby daddy and all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, come on now. There's no more family structure. There's no more family unit. None of that, bro. It's like, it's bad, man. It's bad. I mean, unless you really meet a woman that has that came from a wholesome home with a mother and a father, who might be, I don't know, spiritual or really religious and really understand the family dynamic, the polarity between men and women, and she still honors, family and marriage. And she not out here wilding and promiscuous and outside in the streets and, salaciously dressed and scantily clad and all that, and got all hella bodies and all this. And I mean, come on, man. You done knocked out. I just explained 90% of women. And it's not just it's not Gen Z. It's not Gen Y. And it's not only Gen, it's all three of these generations. Z, Y, and X. I'm Gen X. I've been married before. And I'm telling you, it was better back in the day, man. I can't wait until we hit the reset button. That's what we got to do, man. We got to hit the reset button, man, on a lot of this stuff, man. But the simps, the lames, the cucks, the economy, all this stuff that I just talked about, these are all factors that just totally fuck the game up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to be optimistic by not saying all, but listen, man, to attract a wholesome woman into your life is one in a million. I don't know if it's because I'm in South Florida or what, but it seems to be pervasive all across the country, man. I don't know. I don't know. I hope things get better. You know what I mean? But I've heard, I'm starting to hear now that I saw something on Kendall G. I put it in one of my videos. You had a chick from Ghana that was talking about she wanted dude to make $400,000 a year, $400K, and she was overweight, saying he can't have no kid. Well, I don't know what she definitely said he had to make at least $400,000 a year, but she was overweight. And it doesn't matter if she was overweight or not. How are you going to declare and demand that a man makes $400,000 a year or so? Like, come on now, what are you bringing into his life? She don't sound like she has those nurturing, affection, loving, supportive, respectful values. Not talking like that. I don't know, y'all. I don't know, fellas, man. All I'm gonna say is that the reset button has to be hit. And if you happen to meet a small demographic in society where you come across a woman who's wholesome and nurturing and she's got all these loving qualities, you better wife her up and keep her in the house. That's all I got to say. Like, share, subscribe, y'all. Like my shit, share my shit, subscribe to my shit, comment on my shit. I'll see you next video. Yup.